Hey everybody, it's Dusty Martin with Corcoran Platinum Living. Today I'm going to do my video from outside. It's nice out. Today I thought I would talk about 3 things that agents are doing that are costing their sellers money. So I'm just going to jump right into it. So buckle up. Let's go. All right, so the first thing I gotta say that most agents are doing that is costing their home sellers money is not using cinematic video to market their listings in the MLS and on third-party sites. Now, a lot of agents I am finding are also kind of confused as to what constitutes a video. A lot of people will say, oh, but I do the virtual tours or the Matterport 3D tours. It is not the same, and let me tell you why. For example, the Matterport tours, the virtual tours, that is a technology that's been around for 15 or 20 years now. It's pretty old, actually. And back when it was first a thing, and even a decade ago, it was still kind of cool. It was very new. It was something that was a selling point, especially as the internet became more and more the go-to resource for most people's home search, their first step. The thing is that's not actually a video, and it does not syndicate, and nor is it recognized as an actual video on third-party search platforms like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, or the 2 world's largest search platforms, which are Google and YouTube, YouTube being owned by Google, right? So you're like, okay, great. So they don't recognize it as a video. Okay, why do I need the video? Here's the thing. Technology is changing in such a way that all of these big tech firms have decided, they've already decided it years ago, as a matter of fact, that they were going to start favoring video in all of their search platforms, not just real estate. So if you're not doing video, you're not going to sort to the top. So say there are 2 identical homes on the same street with the same price. They both have 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. They're both 1,500 square feet. They're both in the same neighborhood. They're both $350,000. The one with video will sort to the very top of the list. Now, when you go over to Google, you will see that any of the websites or content or landing pages that you find when you search homes for sale in my city, you're going to find that the sites that have more video and therefore more SEO optimization are going to have the higher ranking on Google, right? Anything with a video answer, video, anything is going to automatically go to the top. It doesn't matter if you are looking for restaurants or homes or anything really, doctors even. If there's video that the search engine can pick up on, it is more likely to sort to the top and be found easier. So you have to ask yourself, if video is so important, why aren't more agents doing it? Well, truth be told, a lot of them are just uneducated about where technology has gone. You'll even see lots of agents who've been in the industry for 10, 15, 20, 30 years sometimes say, I don't know, I'm not good with tech stuff. But the problem is those 5% of agents that are actually using video in our market are selling for a lot more money than you are. So if your home has a competitor in your neighborhood that is almost identical to it, and the more we have standardized builders that, just sell a couple different floor plans, the more that becomes a thing as we go on through history in the development of Arizona, the more important that's going to be, because there are some neighborhoods where I'd say half the homes are one of the more popular floor plans. I'm starting to see it quite often, actually, in homes that are less than 25 years old. They're usually in a subdivision. There's only maybe 3 or 4 floor plans. And out of those 3 or 4, 2 of them happen to be the most popular ones that people chose. So you have to keep that in mind, that you are going to have to compete, especially if you're in a hurry to sell your home. So keep that in mind. I did a search earlier today. I was on a radio show, and I'm a numbers nerd, and I wanted to talk about this. And I found something really interesting. I drilled it down to my particular zip code, 85266. Okay. And I pulled all of the homes that had sold in the last 3 months that had video. And the lowest list to sale price ratio in that group of homes, and there was only 48 homes in my entire zip code that had video in the last 3 months, they sold for 92% of list price. That was the low end, but they went all the way up to about 114%. Crazy, right? And then I went and I looked at the 100 and some odd homes. I think it was almost 200 homes that had sold in the last 3 months in this zip code that did not use video. And their lower end of the list to sale price ratio was 0.82, 0.81 or 0.82. Roughly, basically, there was about a 10 to 11 point spread between these two gaps. So you got to wonder if it will help the home sell for more money, and agents are paid on commission. Why aren't more people actually getting cinematic video of these homes? And like I said, part of it's just, well, the MLS will do it. The photos will sell themselves. You take some photos, you put it in the MLS, and you're done with it. But yeah, I'd have to say, even drilling down to the numbers and really evaluating them, 95% of the agents, and like I said, and I did this across the entire MLS, and then I also drilled it down just to my zip code. And on average, only about 5% of all of the homes, meaning only about 5% of the realtors out there, are actually using and optimizing video as part of their marketing plan to get your home sold. So if your agent isn't doing that, or they're trying to say, oh, we'll do a 3D tour, it is not the same. You need to have moving cinematic video with a voiceover and words, something that engages the emotion of the buyer who's looking for your home. Because not only do you want them to have a more emotional connection enough to call you and come see the home and then fight over it in a bidding war, you want to make sure that your home is sorting to the top, especially when there are similar homes on the market. Now, right now we're in a seller's market, and you're still going to sell your home fairly easily and fairly quickly. No doubt about that. The difference is that you may not sell it for what you really could get out of it. And in a different market, and I want this video to be able, to be evergreen and still relevant in the future. So in the future, someday we may be in an even market or a stable market, or heaven forbid, a buyer's market. You're going to want that extra bump in the marketing, and you're going to want to make sure that your home gets seen 100%. Now we're talking about just getting the home seen in comparison to others. But then you have to remember that YouTube is the second largest search platform on the planet. So if your home isn't there, if there is not a YouTube video that has SEO optimizing, and that's my next point, if you don't have your home there and it is not SEO optimized to make sure that it is found by the highest number of people, then you're already shooting yourself in the foot by not having it on the world's second largest search platform. You shouldn't solely rely on the MLS, Zillow, all the other third-party sites. You don't want to rely solely on real estate, quote unquote, websites to sell your home. Point number 2, you need to make sure that your agent, if they are not doing it themselves, that they are having someone else make sure that your listing is SEO optimized. What is SEO? Search engine optimization, meaning it is most likely to be seen by the highest number of people when it goes to market, when it goes online. So what you need to do is you need to figure out, what are people searching for in your area when it comes to real estate? And then make sure that that video and that description actually plays on those words. Now, a lot of people will think, well, if I just put in 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever, then that is self-descriptive. But you would be surprised. People don't necessarily search that way. You need to have somebody who has the tools to pull the data to find out, is that something that a large number of people are actually searching. So recently I had a listing over in Glendale by the Cardinals Stadium. Believe it or not, searching for houses for sale in Glendale wasn't something people were searching for. People were searching for houses for sale near Arizona Cardinals Stadium. Not AZ Cardinals, not the Cardinals Stadium, Arizona Cardinals Stadium. That was the word. So even that little tweak in the wording can have a huge, huge effect. I went from, maybe 25 people might find that house, that video on YouTube, to about 40,000. Does that make sense? So when you are in those situations, you want to make sure that you are SEO optimizing not only the words that you're saying in the video, but you want to also make sure that the listing description itself and the text that goes along with that video plays on the right words that people are searching to make sure that your home actually gets seen. So if somebody searches homes near Arizona Cardinals Stadium, I want my house, my listing to pop up. I don't want the new build community to pop up, which is the challenging part of the listing I just had, because it was a brand new built home, literally in a development that the builder was still selling in. So I had to figure out, how can I rank my video higher than Pulte and Taylor Morrison? And I was able to do that with just about an hour's worth of work and some digging and pulling some spreadsheets and a little bit of data on what are people searching for. Because all these big builders do have a much larger budget, but they are not hyper local and they can't be. So that's one of the things. So make sure whoever you hire, if it's not me, make sure it is an agent who at least understands the importance. And if they can't do it themselves, that they have a marketing person on their team who does and who's effective, and that they can prove it to you. All right. So moving on to number 3, they aren't negotiating in an aggressive manner. Now, it doesn't matter if it is a buyer or seller's market. When you list your home, that agent now has a fiduciary duty to you legally. They are obligated to do what is in your best interest, sometimes even and above themselves and their own best interests. So that means doing what is best and what is right for you. What will make you in the end the most money, or maybe it's to sell faster, whatever it is that's most important to you, it is their job to fulfill that promise. Okay. So a lot of times I will go on a listing appointment and sellers will get hung up on the commission. I'm not a discounter. I'll put that out there right now. Yes, I have certain discount rates for certain buyers and sellers and, different scenarios. I like to try to help people and be flexible. But at the end of the day, I'm not a discount brokerage, and I don't plan to be. And it's because I spend so much time and money marketing my listings that if I cut down to where a lot of these big shops go, then there is literally nothing left for me to eat off of. But at the same time, there won't be enough to actually market your home. And that's the important part. So a lot of times I will then not necessarily get that listing, and that's okay. But then I will literally watch that listing come on the market, usually lower than what I suggested. I actually had this happen in my own neighborhood. I went on a listing appointment. I didn't get it because he was hung up on a 0.5% commission. And I said, I'm sorry, but A, I'm going to get you more money. And B, when it comes to negotiating, I tend to actually almost always get the upper hand for my clients, whether it be on terms or price or conditions, whatever it is. But predominantly with listings, I tend to sell for about 3% higher than most listing agents. Part of that is the marketing and the pushing, but then when push comes to shove and we've got a bidding war going on, it's the negotiation and playing those offers and shopping those offers around against each other. Now, one of the things I've noticed is that the people who will discount their rates so quickly tend to be the types of agents that me and others like me are able to steamroll in a negotiation. In fact, early on in my career, I noticed a pattern. I was working with mostly buyers, and a lot of agents would complain in our local real estate forums about, oh, so-and-so is only offering 2.5% commission or whatever it is. And I started to notice that every time I saw 2.5% in the listing detail, that more often than not, I was going to get my buyers a pretty sweet deal, if not a crap ton of repairs in the meantime. And so I started playing a little game with myself. The agents that I could really steamroll in a negotiation through a Benzer and a contract from the buy side, a lot of times I started finding that when we got to the closing table and I looked at the settlement statements, a lot of time those agents had discounted their own services far more than they were offering in the listing. So I remember the buyer's side commission was 2.5%. And I kid you not, I got my client a brand new roof, probably $3,000 worth of work done on top of a brand new roof for this property. And mind you, this was in a seller's market with probably 2 to 3 months worth of supply. And I remember thinking, like, there's no way she's getting a full 3%. And when we got to the closing table and I looked at the settlement statement, she was only making 0.5% on that listing, thinking that she would get the buyer. And it didn't happen. So I actually, on that transaction, made more than she did. And in the long run, her client lost money. Now, back to the person in my own neighborhood that didn't hire me because they just wanted a little more out of what I could discount them at the time. And that's fine. To put it in perspective, this particular home should have sold for about $879. And there was an identical model. It was a little more done up. But when you really drill down to it, this particular house had a larger garage and had a few more perks about the property. And the other one, even though it was a little more updated and upgraded, it was also very, very taste specific and was going to need a lot of paint and some carpet and, some stuff to kind of like tone it down and bring it a little less out of the crazy zone. And I remember sitting down with this client and I said, this house, this model should sell for $879 and maybe even as high as $910. Granted, with my marketing and where my kind of statistics are this year, I think for the year, I'm at about 106% of list price ratio, but over the last 12 months, more like 103. So put that in mind. So they said, okay, well, we'd really like you to do it for X amount. And I said, I'm sorry, at this price point, I need to spend a significant amount of money marketing your home, and this is how much you should get. So they hired a family member who took cell phone photos, didn't even turn the lights on, who told them, yeah, I'll do it for this super low amount. And they had one showing, took the first offer that came along, but they listed at $849, where the lower end of one of the smaller versions of this model was selling that was less updated than this home. And so not only did they price it wrong, but then they took the first offer that came along with no marketing, right? That's the biggest mistake. And so in my neighborhood, I keep stats on how much homes sell for, what percent of list price. And yes, they sold for 100% of list price. Okay, that sounds great, right? Now let's consider the fact that they should have listed for $879 instead of $849. There's $15,000 they left on the table over a 0.5% commission. That was the hang up, is the 0.5%. So 0.5% of $879 is like what, $4,500? So they lost out on $15,000 if they'd have gotten 100% at the price that it would have appraised at. Second, on top of that, Most homes in this neighborhood, the next lowest price list to sale price ratio in our neighborhood was 104%. So if they had done any marketing, if they had gotten professional photos, if they had done video, they would have gotten somewhere between 104 and 115% of list price. So a lot of it has to do with upfront. If somebody rolls over and will just give you their own paycheck without putting up much of a fight and says, yep, we'll have it sold in a day, 100% of list price ratio. 100% of list price in today's seller's market is child's play. So if the home is priced appropriately, it will sell for as much or more. If it is overpriced, that's where you will see the price reductions, or if it is not marketed whatsoever. So you have to keep that in mind. Somebody who cannot negotiate their own paycheck cannot defend your equity. And I have seen it time and time and time again. And there are now stats to back it up. And I have transactions upon transactions to show that almost every time, if it's an agent who wanted to get the listing at all costs and went down crazy amount, time and time again, I have seen it where an agent just wanted to get the listing. They would do anything that they can in their power to do it. But in the meantime, not only did they give up their own money, but then they also gave up their seller's money. So keep that in mind. Somebody who's a tough negotiator isn't necessarily going to give you the best rate, and they're probably going to do a lot more for you. So don't make the mistake of stepping over dollars or thousands of dollars in some cases just to get to a couple pennies. If you have any questions or if you're wondering what your home might sell for in today's market, go ahead and give me a call at 480-717-9405 or visit my website at dustymartinrealtor.com.